What's going on, people? I hope everybody is good. So, today I'm going to be diving into a critical conversation that's been stirring up some heated debate online. Now, this one's about a discussion between the singer Tyrese and civil rights attorney Ben Crump. Okay. Now, this discussion was later criticized by journalist Roland Martin. So let's break it down to see what's really going on here, right? Now, recently, in the clip that I'm about to show, Tyrese asked a straightforward question to attorney Ben Crump. Tyrese asked, why isn't there a hate crime bill that specifically addresses the violence against Black people in America, similar to the C-19 Hate Crimes Act that addresses violence against Asian Americans, okay? I want you all to check out that clip, and I'll be back with my commentary.
The police and Black and brown culture. I mean, the moment that President Biden became the president, he signed it into law to protect the Asian community. What is that law that he signed?
Anti-Asian hate crime bill.
President Biden and Kamala Harris signed an Asian hate crime bill, which makes it beyond illegal to ever purposely and maliciously do anything to anybody in the Asian community. And there was a spike in crimes and criminal behavior in and around COVID, allegedly and specifically motivated by Trump. And so everybody started treating Asians, beating them, killing them, shooting them, stabbing them, hurting them. And then he gets into the White House, skips over every Black and brown Mexican and Latino that have been getting killed like flies, and he makes it a law. Asian hate crime bill is signed into law. So whether you're a police officer or a regular civilian, if you wake up on a Wednesday and say, he's Asian, a woman or a man, let's go do something bad to them, which God forbid would ever happen again. But it is a crime bill that was signed into law that protects Asians at all costs. Where is that same fucking law to be signed into law when it comes to Black and brown people? Because what you're doing is, President Biden and Kamala Harris, what you're doing is you're saying that Black and brown people will continue to be disposable. That's the...
Okay, now you all heard that, right? And the answer that attorney Ben Crump gave was, hey, go vote, go vote, okay? All right, but then something happened. Roland Martin came out and said Tyrese was wrong about what he said to Ben Crump. So I want you all to check out that clip, and then I'll be back with the rest of my commentary. Check it out.
All right, y'all. Let me make this video real quick, okay? Like real quick. Tyrese, you do not know what you're talking about. That video where you're talking about an anti-Asian crime bill, that is a lie. Please, learn to fact check before you start talking. I have debunked this nonsense numerous times on Roland Martin Unfiltered. That is a lie. I literally have walked through the bill on my show. In the summary, it talks about the attacks on Asian Americans. It is called the COVID-19. It specifically mentions COVID-19. If you actually read the bill, which I've done on the air multiple times, it does not only apply to Asian Americans. It applies to everybody. It also, all it did was also create one job that compiled data. And so again, Tyrese, you're wrong. You are 100% wrong. And so please, all of you entertainers, when y'all jump out here and make videos and people run with it, I need you to do some verification, do some fact checking before you do that. Okay? So you're wrong. It is not. People called it the Asian hate crime bill because of the attacks. And if you're also going to run your mouths out here and go, there's never been a bill for African Americans, that's a lie. There have been 3 hate crimes bills specific to African Americans. The first one, you were dealing with the Civil Rights Act in 64. Okay, then you also had the hate crimes bill that dealt with black churches were being burned. I also broke that down on Roland Martin Unfiltered. And then, of course, you had the lynching bill that was also signed. Okay, and don't forget, you also have the Matthew Shepard, James Byrd Act that dealt with hate crimes. Yeah, James Byrd, the black man who was dragged to death in Jasper, Texas. I went there. I broadcast from there. I walked down the street when he was murdered. And so please, all you blogs that keep posting this stuff, and Tyrese says he's wrong. He's wrong. Okay? I walked this stuff through on my show. Bill by bill, fact by fact. Got it? Please call somebody before you start spewing stuff that you know nothing about.
Okay, so basically, Roland Martin was saying that Tyrese was off in his criticism, right? But let's look at the facts. Let's look at it, because I like to do research and I unpack some things, and I'm going to share it with you all. First off, Tyrese wasn't wrong in pointing out the absence of a hate crime bill that specifically protects Black Americans. Tyrese wasn't wrong, okay? Now listen, historically, Black people have been and continue to be the group most targeted by hate crimes in America. I want you all to let that sink in. According to FBI data, year after year after year after year, Black Americans represent the largest percentage of hate crimes in America. Black Americans represent the highest recipients of hate crimes in America. That's FBI. Okay, that's FBI data. Everything that I cite will be at the bottom in the description box for you to click on or copy and paste it into your browser, etc. Okay, now, even in 2020, when there was a significant rise in hate crimes against Asian Americans due to C-19 related xenophobia, etc., even then, Black people still remain the highest recipients of hate crimes in America. Listen, in 2020, in that year, about 55% of hate crimes motivated by race targeted, guess who? Black people, while around 9% targeted Asian Americans. I want you all to let that sink in. I'm going to repeat that. I don't think you all heard me, okay? In the year 2020, 55% of hate crimes motivated by race targeted Black folks, while 9% targeted Asians. Okay? I hope you all heard that. Now, this isn't just a recent trend. Historically, Black Americans have faced hate crimes at a higher rate than any other group. This is a fact. This is a fact. Historically, there has never been any other group in America that has been the recipients of hate crimes like Black folks have. Year after year, Black people have always remained the highest recipients of hate crimes for as long as this country has been around. Okay? From the era of slavery through Jim Crow South, to the civil rights movement, and even today, Black people have consistently been the primary targets of racial violence and hate crimes in America. That's FBI. Link will be at the bottom in the description box. Now, that's not saying that other groups are not victims of hate crimes. They are. But what I'm saying is, Black people have always been the highest recipients of hate crimes in America, even when the Asians started to see a significant rise in hate crimes because of the C-19 thing. Black people have always been the highest recipients. Okay? You see, here's the kicker. Here's the thing, okay? Now, despite this ongoing reality about Black people being the highest recipients of hate crimes year after year, okay? Despite that, federal crime federal hate crime legislation has never singled out Black Americans in the same way that the C-19 Hate Crimes Act addresses violence against Asian Americans. This is what Black Americans are talking about when they say, hey, what do you got for us? Okay. Legislation like the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which was indeed passed on the backs of Black Americans, okay, who fought for that. All right. But legislation like the Civil Rights Act of 1964, or even something else Roland Martin mentioned, the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Jr. Hate Crimes Prevention Act, uses broad language. Okay. These acts use broad language addressing race, color, religion, national origin, sexual orientation, and gender identity. Okay. All right. Like the Civil Rights Act does of 1964, or the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Jr. Act, Hate Crimes Prevention Act that came out in 2009. Listen, these laws do a lot of good. They do. But they don't specifically name Black Americans as the sole focus, despite Black Americans having a long history of being the victims of hate crime in America, being the highest victims of hate crimes in America. Okay. This is what Tyrese was talking about. He wasn't wrong. So when Tyrese questioned why there isn't a hate crime bill that specifically protects Black people, he wasn't lying about that question. He was standing on solid ground. Okay. The frustration he expressed is indeed valid based upon the data in the stats. And I believe Roland Martin knows that. Okay. The C-19 Hate Crimes Act specifically addresses Asian Americans because of a surge in violence during the pandemic. All right. And while it is crucial to protect all communities, the lack of a similar focus on Black Americans, who have always been the highest recipients of hate crimes in America, that's what Black Americans are talking about. That's what makes them upset. Okay. Now, Black Americans are asking why, after centuries of being the primary targets of racial violence and hate crimes, why is there no federal hate crime law that explicitly protects Black Americans? Why does it always seem like when it comes to protecting Black lives, the language has to be broad and inclusive? This is what Black Americans are talking about. Why does the language always have to be broad, inclusive, and include everyone? But when other communities face violence, they get specific targeted protection. This is not false. This is the fact. Tyrese was kicking the actual factuals. Okay? Now, I'm not here to point fingers, but I am here to do research and bring the facts. And when I hear something that's not correct, I have to come out and correct it, right? And what Roland Martin said was not correct. Tyrese was correct in what he said, okay? And with that being said, man, I'm going to leave you all with this. Proverbs 31:9. Speak up and judge fairly. Defend the rights of the poor and the needy, okay? And with that being said, man, if we truly believe in equality, then we must judge fairly and create laws that protect those who need it most without hesitation or broad language that dilutes the focus. So to Roland Martin, with all due respect, brother, Tyrese was not wrong in asking that question. In fact, it's a question that deserves an answer. Not just from, the people who are considered leaders or whatever, but from all of us who care about justice and equality. All right. And with that being said, man, I land my plane. Peace.